Please have a seat if you have one. I guess you knew I was going to speak. I'm Melvin Carter. Cummins will build the technology that produces clean hydrogen. Companies and utilities across the country will use those products to make clean hydrogen. And trucks made in America with zero-emission engines will be powered by clean hydrogen. And by the way, that includes Cummins, which just today announced that it will invest over $1 billion at a plant in New York and Indiana and North Carolina to produce low-carbon, zero-emission engines for trucks. It encourages them to get into business. It encourages investment. Federal investment attracts private investment. It creates jobs. The plan is to invest in America in a literal sense, not overseas, in America. Invest in ourselves, and it's working. Here's what it looks like across the country. A record 12,400,000 brand new jobs, including 800,000 manufacturing jobs just since we came to office. That's more jobs in 2 years. That's more jobs in 2 years than any president's created in 4 years. That affect everything in our lives, from our cell phones, automobiles, refrigerators, so much more. America invented these chips. The wealthiest Americans, the biggest corporations, and I come from the corporate capital of the world. Delaware has more corporations incorporated in the state than every other state in the United States of America combined. And I'm a Democrat, and I won 7 times for the Senate in that state. It's just paying your fair share and cutting the subsidies for specialists. Why are we subsidizing oil companies? First became president, I was at a major event, and I said, everybody have a seat. I cut the deficit over 2 years by $1.7 trillion, more than any president has in the history of the United States of America. And by the way, the last guy who had this job, he increased it by $2 trillion, the deficit, on his debt, which would throw us not only in recession, but would be a disaster. I have gotten, if you no reason why you should know anything about me, but I've gotten on well with my Republican colleagues over the years, for real. Good relationships. But this ain't your father's Republican Party. This is what I call the mega Republicans. The MAGA Republicans in Congress threaten to undo all this progress. They're putting our economy in jeopardy by threatening to refuse to pay America's bills that took 200 years to accumulate now, by the way. Not this year's, last year's, 200 years. They said they're not going to pay the bill, which would, for the first time, America would default on its debt, which would throw us not only in recession, but would be a disaster for the economy internationally. They want to cut taxes, cut more taxes for the very large corporations. Based on what we know so far, their plans would explode the deficit, increasing it by more than $3 trillion in the next 10 years. And they also want to cut the investments in clean energy manufacturing and encourage companies to expand and create jobs here. Look, you know, as I said, this clean energy proposal we have, it's $368 billion. Seems like our Republican friends want to cede clean energy future to China, make us dependent on overseas supply chains, export jobs overseas, and weaken our energy security. Work with everyone will help get this thing moving. God bless you all. May God protect our troops. Thank you.